Dear learners, welcome. In today's session, we'll be learning about motivation theories. So by now, we definitely know what is motivation. Motivation is basically or can be defined as the process that initiates, guides and maintains goal-oriented behavior. And motivation is a need or desire that energizes behavior and directs towards the goal. So, today we'll be covering about two theories of motivation and you will be able to explain and understand McGregors participation theory and Herzberg's theory of motivation. Okay, so let's see the first theory. McGregors participation theory. Different styles of management have a different bearing on motivation of workers in the organization. The style adopted by the manager in managing his subordinates is basically dependent upon his assumption about the human behavior. So, Douglas McGregor formulated two distinct views of human beings based on the participation of the worker. And the theory X is negative, traditional and autocratic style, while theory Y is positive, participatory and democratic. Thus, these labels describe contrasting sets of assumptions about human nature. So let's understand what exactly this theory is. McGregors Theory X. So this is the traditional theory of human behavior and which is made on the following assumptions. The manager or management is responsible for organizing the elements of productive enterprises, and that involves money, material, equipment and people. And all this leads to the interest of economic ends in terms of profit. With reference to the people, it is the process of directing their efforts, motivating them, controlling their actions, modifying the behavior in order to be in conformity with the needs of the organization. So this particular theory or theory X is where the manager need to direct people, motivate them and control the action in order to achieve the organizational goals. Without this active intervention by the management, people or the employees will be passive, even resistant to the change to the organizational needs. Hence, they must be persuaded, rewarded, punished and properly directed, is explained or is in theory X. The average human being has an inherent dislike of work and will definitely or will avoid if it can be avoided. Plus, he lacks ambition, dislikes responsibility and prefers to be led. He is inherently self-centered, indifferent to the organizational need. And the human nature or the person who belongs to theory X is also, he is by nature resistant to change. That means he does not really like the change. So in theory X, Douglas McGregor summarizes the traditional view of management in a number of characteristic assumptions in which autocratic leadership style, close supervision and the hierarchical principles are the key elements. And you will see that theory X mostly will be seen in the organization. Before I explain a little more about theory Y, theory X also starts with the assumption that the people are naturally lazy and will avoid the work as much as they possibly can. Hence, it is required to make sure that everything is in flow. So now, let's understand what is theory Y. Theory Y is definitely based on the assumptions which are opposite to theory X. And the assumptions of theory Y, according to McGregor, are as follows. Work is as natural as play or rest. Provided the conditions are favorable, the human being does not inherently dislike the work. If the if the work atmosphere is correct, human being can be motivated enough to do the work. Plus, external control and the threat of punishment are not only the ways to control people. It is believed by Theory Y by McGregor, and he also believes that man can exercise self-control and self-direction to achieve the organizational goals. Commitment to the objectives is the result of rewards associated with their achievement. People select the goals for themselves if they see the possibilities of some kind of reward that they may receive. It may be material or even psychological. According to Theory Y, the average human being under proper condition does not shrink or strike responsibility, but learns not only to accept the responsibility but also to seek it. He has the capacity to exercise a relatively high degree of imagination, creativity, which can be utilized to resolve organizational problems, which cannot be narrowly distributed or which cannot be narrowly distributed in the population. So, before we come to the next type of theory, in Theory Y, under conditions of modern industrial life, the intellectual potentials of people are only partially used. And as a matter of fact, people have unlimited potential which is untapped. So, unlike in Theory X, Douglas McGregor starts from the assumption in Theory Y that people have different needs. And Theory Y assumes that people are inherently happy to work, they can or they want to exert themselves, and they are motivated to pursue objective. There is no need for the system that involves rewards and punishments. People can and are ready to take the responsibility if they are provided with the right nature or the atmosphere and the work. Our next theory is Herzberg's two-factor theory. And what did he explain here? So, let's take a look. Herzberg developed a theory of motivation on the premise that human nature has two separate elements, the motivators and the maintenance factors. According to this theory of motivation, the items that determine job content are considered as motivational factors. And the examples for the same are achievement, recognition, responsibility, advancement, and the work itself. The elements that influence the job context are the hygiene or the maintenance factors. And these factors include company policy, salary, interpersonal relation, and working conditions. They must be adequate, and if they are absent or inadequate, this will lead or create dissatisfaction. Now let's understand the two factors of Herzberg's theory. First are motivators. Now motivators are associated with the positive feelings of the employees about the job. They make people satisfied with their job. Motivators are necessary to keep the job satisfaction and job performance high. On the other hand, if they are not present, they definitely do not prove highly satisfying. The motivators can be in terms of monetary or non-monetary benefits. They definitely lead to satisfaction and motivation. The motivators also need to definitely imply, or the supervisor should attempt to eliminate the hygiene factor that are found to be more specific. Basically, it means that the motivational factors that are to be considered by the manager have to include also the work atmosphere that is given. Now, let's understand the hygiene factors. So, the hygiene factors represent the need to avoid the pain in the environment. They are not an intrinsic part of the job, but they are related to the conditions which a job is performed. They are associated with the negative feelings, and They must be viewed as a preventive measures that removes the sources of dissatisfaction from the environment. It can be as simple as having a clean washroom. Hertzberg believed that the hygiene factors create the zero level of motivation, and if maintained at proper level, it prevents negative type of motivation from occurring. Thus, hygiene factor, when absent, it definitely increases the dissatisfaction with the job, and when present, it prevents in dissatisfaction, but does not increase, or satisfaction or motivate satisfaction, but it definitely satisfaction or motivation, but it definitely prevents dissatisfaction. So to sum up, the theory of Hertzberg is based on the factors of motivation and hygiene. The motivators are the positive factors, and hygiene are related to the negative feelings. Both of them are to be paid attention in order to avoid any kind of dissatisfaction in the employees. It is important for all the organization members, or rather the management, to understand the importance and benefits of motivated staff in the organization. References that are utilized for the content. Thank you. I request students of AISS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology to click on the link given in the description below to take the quiz on motivation theories. Thank you. Happy learning.